So this comment claims that if everything we know in science can be potentially disproven, then all we have is beliefs. And this is a common anti-science sentiment, and it's not really true. We don't have beliefs, we have knowledge. The closest thing we have to beliefs are hypotheses that we agree with. Like, for example, I believe the toroidal universe model does the best job of describing the universe around us. However, there are also other models that describe the universe well, and they are still built on the data that we got the toroidal model from. So both are valid. I just believe that the toroidal one is likely the one that will fit the universe best. So I don't know that. That is the best fit hypothesis, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean that we could rule things out, like we have ruled out that space is not spherical. All the geometry we have done, going all the way back to the cosmic microwave background, shows that triangles appear to be flat. And thus, topologically, space is not spherical. Simply put, Euclidean geometry works in our universe. And if the universe were spherical, then we would have to use non-Euclidean geometry. So when we say we know the universe isn't spherical, what we're saying is we're reasonably confident that it's not, because our observations do not support that hypothesis. Like, we can't just choose to believe anything we want, we need to support any conclusion we have with data. And a lot of people who say anti-science stuff like this eventually point toward older scientific rules that were eventually changed. Like, they point toward Newton's laws of motion and say, well, now you have relativity, those were wrong. And that's the thing, Newton's laws of motion weren't wrong, they were incomplete. Newton's laws of motion do a fantastic job of describing the universe as we see it. It's just they break down at certain masses and certain speeds. And relativity basically built upon Newton's laws of motion to allow our view of the universe to be more accurate. That's the thing. Ancient scientific knowledge is often not wrong, it's incomplete. Because it's based on data, there are actual conclusions being drawn there. Like, plague doctors and their plague doctor masks used to believe that bad air was what ended up causing disease. And we know now that it's bacteria and viruses. But those bacteria and viruses were airborne. So while they weren't completely right, they were right. I mean, the flowers they put in their mask didn't do anything, but still, they had a hypothesis based on what they observed. They observed that people got sick when they inhaled certain types of air, and that was the air around decomposing bodies and other sick people, and that was air that had bacteria and viruses, which we found out later. So our knowledge comes from our observations, and they could always be proven to be incomplete. But that just means that we got better at observing. That doesn't mean that we don't know anything.